United Nations General Assembly begins today. President Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy are set to address the annual gathering of world leaders today as well. Jarred Hill is just outside the UN with more on what we can expect. Jarred, good morning.
Good morning, Anne Marie. And as we are expecting President Biden to try and rally support around Ukraine, a former UN official I was speaking with said that he's going to have to walk a pretty fine line here to try and get support among some nations who may not see that conflict as their problem. Take a look. At this year's United Nations General Assembly, President Biden preparing to make a political power play on the global stage.
He has to go into this not just as the leader of the West, but as one of the powers competing for and contending for the support and allegiance of a wider set of countries.
Biden is expected to continue rallying support for Ukraine in its war with Russia, competition with China, and efforts to fight climate change also on the agenda. As over the weekend, climate protesters demanded action outside the UN. The massive gathering of world leaders is also an enormous security operation.
Their job is to discuss the future of our world, and our job is to make sure they can do it without disruption.
Right, sir, can you stick your arms out for me? Thank you.
From the ground to the skies, tens of thousands of officers have their eyes on New York City as the world watches. Now, while China and Russia are expected to be pretty big parts of the conversation here at the UN General Assembly, leaders from neither of those nations are going to be here in person. We also know, Anne Marie, that the leaders of both the UK as well as France are not going to be here either, leaving President Biden kind of on an island of his own.
Yeah, and these are the leaders that would have, some sort of veto power, right. Decision-making power. But let me ask you, so we're going to hear from President Biden today and also Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Do we have any idea what both men will be focused on?
Yeah, so when it comes to really both of them, we do know that the war in Ukraine and kind of building this international solidarity around what they consider the movement forward of democracy is going to be a big part of these conversations there. One of the things that's interesting, though, with this is talking about the fact that Biden is the only major world leader that's going to be here. Some experts have been saying that this potentially gives him, and in a larger sense, the U.S., an ability to have some of these one-on-one conversations with some of these other world leaders that might be, again, a bit more on the fence around how much they're willing to support the effort for Ukraine. Might give President Biden an ability to speak to them directly when Russia and China are not here to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, Jarred. Thank you very much.